Okay, so everyone's gonna go to miamirealtors.com. There are two ways that you can log in to your dashboard of products. One would be in the top right where it says MLS login. And the other one would be right in the middle of the screen where it says Miami Gateway. So again, you can either choose to click on MLS login in the top right, or you can click on the Miami Gateway in the middle of the screen. Once you've clicked on either or, you'll have access to the login screen. If you are logging for the very first time, if you're logging into our system, your username and your password are both going to be your license number without the letters. It will then ask you to digitally sign that you acknowledge our terms. It'll ask you to answer some security questions and then change your password. If you've already done so, then you can go ahead and use your license and your password to log into your dashboard of products. So if you are logging in for the first time, it is your license in the login ID and in the password. So Matrix is usually in the first or second row. We try to keep it at the top because it is probably going to be one of your most commonly used apps or products. So you'll click on it, it'll open in a separate tab. So what we're all staring at right now is the home page for Matrix, and across the top in blue there's a floating menu bar. If you hover over each option, it will show you what exists in each menu. Some obviously will have more than others. So without clicking, if you move your mouse, you'll start to see options pop up or drop down beneath each menu option. All the way to the right, it says English and Spanish, and that's because we do have a Spanish version of Matrix for the agent, and we also have a Spanish version of information for the customer. So there is a Spanish version of the customer's portal, and there's a Spanish version of reports. So if you need it in Spanish, it is available. As of right now, those are the only two languages that we have available. Right beneath that, there is a field in the center. It's called the speed bar. And the speed bar is meant for you to quickly search things, but it does speak its own language. So once you get used to Matrix, we start talking about the abbreviations and the shorthand that the speed bar requires. To the right of that, there is recent searches, or there is a field that says recent searches. This will house your most recent searches, and it is usually the last month or the last 50 searches. So if you searched something and didn't save it, or you wanted to go back, you'd be able to easily find it. It is dated and time-stamped so that you could go back and retrieve those results. Beneath that, my screen will look a little different. These are called widgets. Each of these widgets can be manipulated to a certain extent to customize your home screen. So what that means is I can actually tell the system, I want this widget on the left, and I can click and drag it over and move it. So this allows you to reposition the widgets and keep the ones that you want to use most often maybe at the top. But if there are widgets that you don't want or you don't need, or in the right-hand corner, there is a button that looks like an arrow, and if you click on it, it will close or collapse the widget. If you click on it again, it will open it back up. So if I don't want to see everything and I just want to keep it there, I could basically collapse it and just see the title. Next to the arrow, you have a small X, and that X is to remove the widget from your home screen. You're not deleting it, you're just putting it away. So any widget that you X out, any widget that you click on that X, will get put away in a widget that's named additional. And if you haven't modified your home screen too much, it's usually on the right-hand side toward the bottom. Anytime that you wanted to bring any of these back onto your home screen, you would just click and drag it back out. So if a widget disappears from your home screen, check the one that says additional first, and then drag it back out, because that's probably where it ended up. So in the top floating menu bar on the right-hand side, there is a tab that says Help. Go ahead and click on it, and that is going to launch you into the help section. I'm not going to go through all of the options, but I just wanted to point out a few things to you. So on the left-hand side, you have your table of contents, and you also have a search field. So you can use this to search things if you forgot how to do something in Matrix. Maybe you have hit a roadblock, a technical difficulty. You might be able to find what you need here in the help section. At the very top of the table of contents, there is an option that reads Data Input Form. If I click on it, and then click on paper input forms, I get a list of PDF forms. These forms are here for you to be able to take notes on any property you might list. So what that means is if I have a listing and I need to sit down and enter it digitally into Matrix, you might not know what fields are required and what fields are optional. So before you sit down to enter it, you may want to use one of these forms to take notes and keep track of the information you need to add the listing into the system. This is also a really great way for me to make sure we all understand the property types that we have in our system. So for each property type, there is a form, and I'm going to skip down and talk about RE1. So RE1 are your single family homes and mobile homes that are for sale. RE2 are going to be your condos and townhouses that are for sale. Residential income, RIN, is going to be duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes that are for sale. If the property has 5 units or more, it's technically commercial. RNT is residential rental. That is any residential property that is made available or listed as a rental. So that could be anything from a single family home to a condo to a townhouse. They would all be housed or listed in the same category. You have residential land, which is just land. And then you have commercial land. Again, it's just land. We're not talking about structures. You have your commercial properties. So that would be any buildings with 5 or more units. And then it would be what you normally think of as commercial. So it might be a warehouse, retail space. And then you have business opportunity, where you would list businesses that are for sale. Now, the auction listing form is any property that is up for auction. You must document that. So you have a form here. Okay. The seller opt-out form is for any seller who would like you to sell their property but does not want you to list it. The permission to advertise form is a form you could use to request permission from a listing agent to promote their listing. And then at the very top, I skipped it and left it for last. Now that you understand a little bit more about the property types, the status change form is going to be a form where you would catalog and you would chronicle, or you would keep track of every change to a status of your listing. The other thing I wanted to point out to you is the Matrix support information. If you click on the Matrix support option, you have support and CoreLogic Answer Links live chat. They have a live chat that you can enter and ask questions. If you would like to call them, you can click on support, and there is a 1-800 number provided. They are available 7 days a week. Their hours will vary on the weekends. Obviously, they work or close earlier on the weekends, but you would be able to call them. And this is if you're having technical difficulties with Matrix. Aside from the Matrix support, beneath that, everything between search and realist is frequently asked questions on each of those topics. So you could browse through the frequently asked questions to see if any of them address what you're trying to find. And then we have area maps. So I'm going to go ahead and click on area maps, and I'm going to click on the Fort Lauderdale map. So this map legend right here that says area and out of area description, it's in the top left corner of the map. They have created a grid in the state of Florida, and each square has its own number. When you're entering a listing, it's a required field. The reason I'm pointing this out is because at some point you may have a customer or a potential customer that asks you to list a property, and you may not know what to do with it because it's not in our MLS areas. Our MLS areas, or our MLS, covers Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Martin, and St. Lucie. Your license is for the state of Florida. So if someone asks you to list a property outside of those 5 counties, you can list it and you can sell it because you are licensed in the state. So if they have a property in Orlando or Tallahassee and they want to list it, you can list it and you can sell it. But because it's outside of our 5 counties, it's going to need a special number. So up in the top left corner of this map, it tells you that anything that's in Florida but is outside of Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Martin, or St. Lucie would be placed in the area 5940. If you keep reading, it also mentions the islands and the Caribbean. It also mentions the United States outside of Florida, and it also mentions anything outside of the country and outside of the Caribbean. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with our profile and account settings. I'm going to hover my mouse over my matrix. And toward the bottom half, it says my information. So the menu options in Matrix work by just hovering. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my information. Once that loads, you do have multiple tabs across the top. So I have our basic contact information, a header and footer, which creates a banner for you, the CMA cover sheet, which is the comparative market analysis. It's the report most often used for listing presentations. So this would be where we set up the information that appears on the first page of those reports. Our email signature. We have an agent webpage. For those of you that do not have a website, they do provide an agent webpage from Matrix that you might want to use in the meantime. So I'll show you what that looks like and how to set that up. And then we have the portal profile, which is your profile as it appears for your customers once you've emailed them properties. So we're going to make sure everything is set up, because if you ever encounter a profile that's incomplete, that doesn't have information or a picture, that usually gives off an impression that we might not want to give off, right? That it's incomplete, it's not being used. So we want to make sure everything is set up. So we're going to start with our information. The information that we plug into this section will be used to create your header and footer, and it will be used in other parts. Now, if you notice, some fields have a tab or a checkbox on the right-hand side in a column that says override. And what that does is it allows you to override or change the information in that field. So for example, everyone calls me Maggie, but my name is actually Margarita. So if I wanted to replace that, I would click on override, and I would now be able to click into the field and say, okay, I'd rather go by Maggie. You also have a nickname and middle name field. If you wanted to leave your first name as is and just add in those nicknames or add in your middle name. Your last name cannot be modified. So your last name always has to appear as it does on your license. So you cannot change that. We did give you a field for your full name, but that's because we have a lot of members who have certifications, designations, are PAs. I don't know if you've seen those realtors or real estate agents that it's their name, and then after their name they have a list of acronyms. Those are certifications, designations, or additional education that they might have. And as you accrue those, or as you get those, you're going to want to display that. So what we did was, where it says full name, we gave you the override option. You're going to leave your last name as it appears on your license, but this will let you type out your name, put a comma, and then start to list all of your certifications and designations. And it's always a set of 3 or 4 letters. You have your email address. The email address that we have supplied here to the system, because this comes from the information you gave us on your membership application. This might be a personal email, because when you became a member, maybe you didn't have a professional email yet, or you weren't with an office yet. So you gave us a personal email, and that's what we used to set you up. If that is not the email address that you want displayed, and that is not the email address that you want your customer to see, you can go ahead and override it. If I override it and I change this, when I send my customer an email, the email that was there originally shows up as the sender. So if you want to kind of make sure that it is reset to an email, no matter what, that you prefer, that you're okay with, you can do so by talking to our membership department so that they can change that in the system. You can either talk to them in person if you're in one of our offices, or you can request that change in writing. If you call on the phone, they'll ask you to send a request in writing. After your email, you have your title of employment. You have your contact phone number, your phone number, pager, fax number, toll-free number. In gray, you'll have your office information. You cannot modify this. At the very bottom, you have a tagline, and this is optional. You have a slogan option, basically. You have a field for any additional information that you might want to share with your customer that didn't appear as a field earlier. You have your website address if you have a website, and you have a suffix if you have a suffix in your name or a suffix you would like to include. When you're done filling this out, and you can modify it various times, so if you're not done modifying it right now, you can always modify it when you get back home or when you get back to your office. You're gonna save the changes you've made so far. There's a save button at the bottom left. So next to information, we have the header and footer. The header is a banner that appears at the top of the customer's portal. It appears at the top of your agent webpage, and it appears at the top of any report you generate in Matrix. If you haven't set this up, right now it's black and white and it's missing some elements. So we're going to go ahead and talk about how you can modify that. The first option they give you is the modification of the banner image. So it allows you to replace whatever image or background you're staring at with something else. You have two options. You can either select from images that Matrix has, they're like stock images, or you can upload your own custom banner. So if you have one that you've created or one that you've had designed, you can use that instead. I'm gonna review the ones that the system provides for you. So we're gonna click on select a different banner image or theme. And as you scroll down, you'll start to see the options that Matrix has uploaded for you. Every image supplied by Matrix has a circle on the left, a radio button, and once you've found an image you would like to use, you would click on that button to select it. Okay, so again, every image has a button on the left. Once you find an image you like, you can click on that button. And then at the bottom, there's a blue button that says preview. So at the bottom left, there is a blue button that says preview. It's going to save your choice and bring you back so that you can finish filling out the banner. Your next option for your header is, do you want your photo or not? A lot of you are using our devices, so obviously you would have to do this at home or in your office, wherever your pictures might be saved. But you would just click on use custom photo, and there would be a link beneath it that either says change if you've uploaded one, or it would say upload a photo. The branding section is where you would select the information you want displayed on your header. So if you notice, mine has my name, it has my office, my cell phone, and my email. If you notice, each of these fields also has that information. So everything that we just updated in the contact information section is provided in each field. When you click, you'll get a pop-up, and you would be able to choose from that pop-up. The order in which you place things in these fields is the order in which it appears in the header. So all you have to do is go field by field, and you don't need to pick all of them. If you notice, I have one that's blank. You go field by field and you pick the information that you want displayed on your header. Now, once you've selected your information, you have the option of changing the colors. You can either leave the colors as they are, which would be use theme defaults, or if you wanted to change the colors, you could use your own custom colors. That's up to you. The print header is just a preview. It's not meant for you to change it. The header that's at the top is the header that appears on web pages and in the customer portals page, which is a web page. It's available digitally, but if I were to print a report, I don't need a big header. So this is just a preview of what it would look like on a smaller scale. The print footer only appears on your reports as well, and you can choose whether or not you would like one. So you have yes or no. If you choose to have a footer, you have the same pop-ups that you saw for your header. So you could repeat your information and have your information at the top and bottom, or you could have your information at the top and the office at the bottom. And then you have your choices of colors as well. You either have the theme defaults or you can use custom colors. Again, you can always come back and finish modifying this later. It doesn't have to stay this way forever. But you can go ahead and save what you've done so far. And then in the top left, there's a yellow rectangle that lets you know your changes have been saved. So after we're done with our header and footer, the next step would be the CMA cover sheet. So let's go ahead and click on that. I've uploaded the office logo. There is a silhouette or a cutout of two people shaking hands. If you don't want to put your picture, because you already put your picture in the header and you don't want to put your picture again here, you can upload the logo like I did. But change it and upload something, otherwise that cutout will appear on your listing presentations. Okay, so if you're not a fan, change it and make sure you upload something. On the right hand side, you can add as little or as much information as you'd like. I would keep the company. Remember, you have to let people know what brokerage you work with, so I would leave the office, but they also supply the office address, and maybe that's just too much. You can go ahead and override those fields and delete those. You can add in your phone number, your email, and then you have fields again for your nickname, middle name, and full name, and space for your website address. And this only appears on those CMA reports when you create them in Matrix. All right, let's save our CMA cover sheet information. And next to the CMA cover sheet, we now have our email signature. So we're gonna go ahead and click on email signature. You can type whatever you would like to type. So you would come in here, I'm gonna get rid of this. So I came in here and I wrote my name out, my office, I included my title, my email, my cell phone, and then I said, hey, follow me on social media, and I added a link to each of the social media platforms where I have an account. So when creating your email signature, the two questions I get asked most often, how do you add your picture and how do you add the links so that people can click on the words or tap on them on their mobile devices and see these additional links and profiles. So I'm going to show you how to add the picture, and I'm going to show you how to add in the hyperlink. You have all of these options at the top to modify and edit your signature. So you have tools to cut and paste. You have two arrows to undo and redo. You have the two icons to add a link or remove a link. You have an icon to add a picture. Next to that, you have an icon to add a table, a line break or insert a line, special character, so if your name has a special character or if you need to use the registered trademark symbol or anything like that, you would find it in the special characters. You have bold, italicized, strike through, so these are to all modify your font. You can add a numbered list, you can add a bulleted list, you can change the indentation, you can change the font size, the font color, and the font background color. If you forget what any of these do, if you hover your mouse, see how it pops up a little rectangle, it will remind you what it does. And most things in Matrix work like this. So I went through and I type out my email signature. I want to add my picture. The first thing you have to do is click where you would like to add it. So if you want it to show up at the beginning, at the to the left of your signature, you would have to click on the very first row. If you wanted it to appear at the end, you would click at the end. But make sure you click, because if you leave your indicator or your cursor somewhere else, it's going to put that in the middle of everything. To insert your picture, you would do this once you've uploaded your picture to the header or once you've uploaded your picture to the CMA cover sheet. So again, adding your picture to your email signature has to happen after you've uploaded your picture either to the header or the CMA cover sheet. Otherwise, it's going to ask you for a link, and a lot of you do not have your pictures stored in a link. You have them stored physically on your computer. So once you've uploaded the picture, you would click, And then you would choose the photo icon. If you have it uploaded and you have a site or a URL, you could supply the URL, but most of you don't do it that way. Most of you have them saved on your computer. So once you've uploaded the pictures into Matrix and you click on select image, you're gonna have the pictures available. So there's the picture I have on my header, there's the logo that I had on the CMA cover sheet. I choose my picture, and then at the bottom right, I click on the green OK button. Let's talk about adding hyperlinks. So I have accounts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. I have a Google business profile. I have all of these different business profiles and accounts set up. So if I wanted to add a link to my Facebook business page, I would highlight the word after I've typed it out with my mouse. And then in the top where the menu options exist, I would click on the icon or the button that looks like a link or a staple. Once you click, it will ask you for the URL. You can copy and paste it in here, or if you know it and have it memorized, you can go ahead and place it, type it out, click on OK. So there's an OK button on the right hand side, it's green, click OK. So I'm going to do that one more time. You would type out your word or your phrase, you would highlight that with your mouse and click on the icon that looks like a link or a staple. Where it says URL, you're going to go ahead and either copy and paste it into this field or you're going to type it out. And then once you're done, you're going to click OK. So the reason my logo is here is because I had uploaded it to my CMA cover sheet. So I click on the image icon. I click on select image on the right hand side. I chose it, and then I click on the green OK button at the bottom right. You can resize it as well. So once it's there, if it's too large, like this looks out of place, if I double click on it, I get the options for my image, and where it says width and height, I can change the sizing. It will give me a preview. If you're okay with the preview, you click on OK at the bottom. Okay. Again, make sure you save what you've done. So bottom left, click on save. And I'm actually going to skip the agent webpage. I'm going to leave that for last. And I'm going to go into your portal profile. So go ahead and click on portal profile. And I would like to show you an example of what your customer receives so that you can understand where this portal profile goes. So give me one moment. I'm going to show you an example. You choose the listings, and let's say you wanted to send your customer 1 listing, 5 listings, 10 listings. You select them, and there's a button that will say email, and I'll show you how to do that. When your customer receives the email, they'll receive your message and a link that says click here to view properties. So the properties are not inside of the message. They're linked in the message. Once they click on the link, this is what they'll see. So this is an example of a client portal. In the client portal, they'd see that header that you created, and they have the option to find a property so they can run their own search. They will not see the listing agent. So anything provided by Matrix for the customer will not show them the listing agent of those properties. So they can actually search the MLS on their own. They can save those searches and see them where it says My Searches. They can like and dislike properties. So they can say, this is my favorite, this is a possibility, I didn't like this, they can reject it. So they can actually like and dislike things. They can see everything you've ever sent them in messages. It's not an inbox that works like email. So it doesn't allow them to message you through this, but it allows them to see everything you've sent them. And then there's My Agent, which is the portal profile we are about to set up. So I wanted you to see an example of what they receive so that you can start to put things into context, because if I keep talking about it without showing you what it looks like, it makes it a little harder to understand. So this is what your customer receives. Now each property that you sent is listed on the right, and then the location on the map is provided as well. Each property has a heart. So here's some pictures, here's the heart. They click on the heart and they can save it as a favorite, save it as a possibility, or discard the listing. This is probably the main goal behind the customer portal. If I want them to use the customer portal, it's because I want to know what they like and don't like. I want to see those categorized properties. They can also click on the link to the listing and see all of the pictures and see all of the listing information. So it gives them access to everything except the listing agent. They can also write a note, and that note could be, I really like this property's kitchen, but I didn't like the backyard. I like this property a lot, when can we go see it? So there's a lot that they can do in the portal, which is why once we're done with your profile, we'll set up notifications so that Matrix can either email you or text you and tell you what your customers are doing in the portal. Otherwise, it's really easy to kind of be unaware of what's going on with them, because they're doing all of this, and if you don't have notifications, you'll never know, okay? So I'm going to close the example of the client portal, and we're going to set up your portal profile. On your portal's profile for your customer, you can add a picture, you can add a portal greeting, a slideshow of either your active listings and or your office's active listings. You can add a video, and you can also include your contact information. Realize that you have different things that you can add, and on the right-hand side, each of them has a circle. In order for your customer to see it, it must be checked off. So if you wanted to add a picture, you click on photo, it opens up, and you can go ahead and upload or change your picture. I have a picture here, but because there's no check mark on the right-hand side, it does not show up in the portal profile. So you have to upload the information, and you have to make sure that you select it. Your portal greeting is where you would write a biography. Because we give you the option of sending the customer information in English and Spanish, you have to supply your biography or your little paragraph in English and Spanish. Otherwise, if I just do English, that's all they're gonna see, which is fine. You don't have to supply both, but I would minimum write something in English. I would also not worry too much about writing a lot. They're in the portal looking at properties, so they may see your profile and kind of glance over it, but you don't have to kind of go crazy writing something very long. You can keep it short and to the point. All right. So after your portal greeting, you have the option of adding a slideshow. And what it does is it will feature your listings or your office's listings or anything that you select from this list. I would recommend minimum your active listings and office active listings. Whether you would like to include the temporary off-market listings and your withdrawn listings is up to you. But that way, whether you have active listings or not, you know the office always does, there would always be something scrolling through that section. So again, you would click on the slideshow, select the listings that you would like to display, and make sure you click on that circle on the right-hand side. You can also add in a video. This could be a video of yourself. This could be a video of a property that you are trying to showcase everywhere. It could be whatever you'd like it to be, but it must be housed on YouTube. So you cannot upload the actual video to Matrix, but you can link a video that's already on YouTube. All you would have to do is give a title and then copy and paste the link where it says YouTube URL. And then the very last thing you have available is adding contact information. And your contact information is at the top in the header, but sometimes it's nice to display things in different locations so that people don't have to search too hard for it. So you have the same drop downs that you saw previously. So they're either going to drop down or pop up for you to add additional info. Okay? And then again, once you're done, make sure that you have added the information and that you have checked off the circle on the right hand side of the categories you would like on the portal profile. As you saw, I have things saved in there, but they're not visible on the profile because I didn't select them. Once you're done, bottom left, make sure you click on that blue save button. Okay, and the last thing we have to set up here is the agent web page. So along the top in those tabs, we're going to click on agent web page. For those of you that already have a website, you might not want to use this, but if you don't have a website, you might want to use something like this until you get one, if you decide to get one. So it looks a lot like the customer portal because it uses the same header. It gives the consumer or the potential customer access to find properties, again, without the listing agent information. They have your information, and then I plugged all of this in so that they would have that information available. So it's very, very simple and very straightforward, but again, it's a nice option if you don't have a website. So when you enter your agent webpage, if you would like to use this option, you're gonna make sure that it says enable. If you would rather not use this, just click disable and wait for the explanation. So if you don't want to use this, just disable it and give us a few minutes to finish going over this. For those of you that would like to use this, you're going to click on enable, and where it says web page URL, you have the option of modifying this field with your name or something similar. The link to your page would be all of this all together. Okay, so it would be this entire row all together. The web page title is the title they assign the tab. So if you notice, mine at the top says Maggie Real Estate Instructor, and that's because that's the title I provided in this field. So it's the name they give the tab for your page. The homepage content is where you could write a paragraph, and as you can see, you have all these options to modify and format. Same as the ones that we saw when you were creating your email signature, but they've got a few more. The only thing I added here was social media, and that's because the paragraph you wrote for your portal profile, you can actually tell the system to copy and paste it into your web page. So if you scroll down a little bit, there is a section that says additional sections, and it says content you have available on your portal profile can also be included on your agent web page. So things you already did for your portal profile can be duplicated in your web page. That's why I did the portal profile first. The portal profile is private, and it's for that person who has access to those listings you sent them. Your agent web page is public, so anyone could find it, anyone could access it. So it takes things and it basically copies and pastes them into your agent web page. If you would like to add things that you had already done in your portal profile, for example, the greeting. I already wrote a paragraph Instead of writing it all over again, I can tell the system that portal greeting needs to be included. I highlight it and I click on add. If I want the slideshow as well, you click on the slideshow, you click on add. Your contact information. Now, if it is unavailable, it will be grayed out. So if I hadn't uploaded a video, if I hadn't included a link, I don't have access because it wouldn't be there. You can also rearrange the order of these sections using the buttons that say move up and move down. Okay? Not only can you add in that information, but they have access to search. So you can decide to limit that search or you can leave it as it is. You have three options. Do not specify a map area, which means the map that opens up for them would be almost the entire state of Florida. And they can search whatever they want in our MLS. Your second option is restricting the search to a specified area, which means maybe I only feel comfortable working Miami Springs, so I only want them to search for properties in Miami Springs. I can tell the system, restrict the searches, and then I can click on set map area and say, I'm gonna draw a shape around Miami Springs. Your third option is you wanna specify where the map kind of starts off, but you're gonna let them search whatever they want in the MLS. You just want the map to look at one specific location, but allow them to search everything. And again, if you choose this option, you would then click on set map area, move the map around and place it where you would like. So if you're going to use the second or third option, then you need to also click on set map area and you need to draw or reposition your map. Where it says other options, you can include a sign up form. So mine is kind of small. Let me zoom in. See how in the right corner my webpage says sign up with Maggie? Remember, this is public, so someone could have found it because a friend gave it to them, or they Googled and they ended up coming across my page. They can sign up and send me their information so I can follow up with them. So I also included a message, and all they need to do is give their first and last name as well as an email address. Optional, they can leave a phone number and a message. If you would like to include this option in your agent webpage where it says other options, you would add a check mark to include sign up form. And if you would like to customize your message where it says sign up message, you can type out a message that they would see at the top of that form. Lastly, you have additional domains, and that is for those of you that might have purchased a domain elsewhere. So purchasing a domain is relatively inexpensive. What might get costly is the creation of that website, so hiring someone to design it and maintain it. But I can go to GoDaddy or Wix and I can purchase a domain for $10, $15. But to get someone to design it would cost hundreds of dollars. So sometimes people buy just the name so that they have it, and when they get the opportunity, get someone to design the website. If you have that domain purchased and you would like your domain to be connected to this agent webpage, you can call the company that's providing you with the domain and tell them you want to redirect your page or your website to this, and they would ask you for certain information or tell you what to do, and you would be able to connect the two. But you have to talk to the provider. So what they're explaining here in the notice is that you have to ask your registrar, which is the domain provider, to redirect people. So you have to talk to them first. At the bottom, we're gonna make sure to save what you've done. Again, you can always come back and modify this. It doesn't lock. It doesn't limit you. And then if you wanted to see your site, you could click on View Site and see a preview of what you've just done. Okay? So we have our profile and our email signature. We have all of the basic account information set up. We're going to the notifications. If you remember, that customer that you emailed properties to has access to an entire fully functioning portal that lets them run searches on their own, and it lets them save properties that they liked and write you notes. But if you don't have notifications so that you receive an email or a text message, you aren't going to know everything they're doing. So we're gonna set up our notifications next. We're gonna hover over My Matrix and we are going to click on Settings. So hover over My Matrix, go all the way to the bottom and click on Settings. Scroll down and second to last, it says Portal Notification Settings. So again, we hovered over My Matrix, clicked on Settings, scrolled down and clicked on Portal Notification Settings. This table is telling you what they are tracking. So for every customer you email, they are tracking when they go into the portal, when they save a favorite or remove it, when they save a possibility or remove it, discard a listing or remove it, add a note, save a search, or go into the portal for the first time. On the right hand side, you have 3 columns, and these are the notifications you would like to receive for each of these actions. Do you want an email immediately? Do you want a text message immediately? Or do you want a summary every day? The emails and the text messages that say ASAP are an email or a text message per action per customer. It's up to you, it's personal preference, and you can always come back and modify this. So if you set it up and it's not working for you, you can always come back and update it. The notifications via summary means that you're gonna get 1 email every day that tells you what everyone did. So if I checked off everything, then it's gonna tell me everyone who went into the portal, everything that they liked or disliked. So you get 1 email with everything everyone did. Okay, so the email and the text message ASAP is 1 email per individual action. The summary is a list of everything everyone did that day. Okay? If you would like to receive text messages, you do have to set that up. So beneath that table, it says Text Notification Settings. And there is a blue hyperlinked phrase that says, click here to edit your cellular information. You click on the phrase, it will allow you to enter your cell phone number and select your service provider. Please enter your cell phone number without parentheses or hyphens, just 10 digits. Select your provider and then click on the blue button that says send me a verification code. They're going to send you a 4-digit code. You enter the code and then you save your cellular information. That didn't save your notifications. All that did was save your cell phone information. To save your notifications, at the bottom, there's a button that says save with an icon of a disk. You're gonna go ahead and click on that button. And it will take you back to the settings. That'll let you know that it saved your notifications.